Life Mosaic. Hi, I'm Wheezy, and I love to share stories that connect the generations, weaving together the threads of life into a beautiful and lasting legacy. This is a space where every moment and memory matters, embracing the joy, the challenges, and everything in between that shapes who we are. Join me as I uncover and celebrate the living legacy that transcends time and space, creating the mosaic of life, one story at a time. Welcome to this is a new season of Life Mosaic. We are up to season 3. And yes, you see somebody else on the screen with me
Yeah.
because today I want to kick off season 3 in a little bit different manner. Instead of me just talking to you, because I've kicked off every season with a little bit of a note about my background. Today, invited my friend Susan Murphy to come and join me, and we're going to switch positions. She is going to interview me. If you go all the way back to season 1, there's a podcast where I've interviewed Susan. But today we're going to play in the sandbox and just switch the roles. How are you doing, Susan?
I am doing just fine. Summer is coming to an end and it is time to get back into gear. And that's what we're doing today, getting back
That's
in.
what we're doing today. Susan, before we kick in here, just quickly remind our viewers and our listeners, what is it that makes you you?
What is it that makes me me? Well, I've always been in the broadcast industry, in front of the camera, behind the camera. I've produced, I've been on air, I've traveled, I've done national stuff, I've done local stuff. And now I'm a voice coach for broadcasters because for me, that was a niche that needed filling. To watch these young people on TV who could shoot a story, they could write, okay, but their voices just were giving them away as being 23. And so I'd like to say I'm kind of helping that one reporter anchor at a time. And I've been doing it now for just over 4 years. And it's been very satisfying to me because it allows me to take a lifetime's worth of know how, whether it was lessons on my part or just being in the business for 40 years, and to impart it to a new generation because they don't get any sort of voice training
Hmm.
in college. And when you think about this up and coming generation who spends all their times on phones, texting, and not talking, the art of communication, verbal communication, is slowly fading away. So I'm here to save it. And
Yay!
and it's just not everybody who wants to be a broadcaster has all the attributes in the right place. And it's sort of, when I look at what you do, in that you're a video producer, you do podcasts, you create Living Legacy, the videos for people about their businesses or about their families. And you also don't expect people to come to what you can teach them or what you can give them knowing everything. And in fact, they don't. And sometimes that holds people back. Well, they think, well, I don't know how to be on camera, or I don't know what questions I should ask. And that's why they have people like you and me who have done this once or twice.
Yeah, that is so true. And that's really what I want to talk about today is
Yeah.
about the older person who thinks, "Oh, this is new. This is for the kids and stuff." No, this goes into not just the Living Legacy program, but it also goes into uh, sharing life skills, sharing things about your business, things about your services, and how you still matter no matter what age you are.
And a lot of the folks that, like early on, when you started a lot of your business, I think you called them slower adapters or a slow adapter.
Yeah.
And 10 or 15 years ago, it was hard to pick up on this if you didn't have a mind for it. But it's 10 to 15 years later now. It still requires maybe some show and tell, but it's not as complicated as it used to be. So, truly, if you think I haven't kept up with this, that doesn't matter. In fact, it's become a lot easier, more
It's
intuitive.
become uh, a lot easier, a lot more intuitive, and a whole lot less sophisticated equipment.
Yeah,
The
true.
equipment part has gotten so simple. Within just your finger, going to Amazon and ordering a couple little accessories, you you've got your own little video recording center.
Yeah. And you've got all the know-how in what you could order and where you can order it from. So it's not even like, okay, go get an external microphone for your iPhone. No, 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 no. You'll help with that.
Yeah.
You know the
Yeah.
tricks. Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the things too about being a slow adapter is that for some of us, we've always been maybe not the quickest on the uptake when it comes to video. That would be me. Um, right?
That is definitely part of
So
my story.
exactly. And so a lot of us grew up thinking, oh, well, we can't do this because people told us we couldn't, or people didn't give us the opportunity to do it, women especially.
Yeah,
And that too is changing. And this also is something you can so identify with.
I can. And, when I was at school, I was really new to the whole computer game because, I mean, we're talking early 2000s and everybody having a computer in their house just really had started coming along in like 98, 99. But
Right.
here I'm taking it to graphic design, I'm taking it to editing and different things like that, learning a lot of the more sophisticated softwares instead of just emails and going in Word and making a pretty document or something like that. I was taking it to a whole new level. And I was scared to death. Here I am in my mid 40s, finally going back to school in a room with kids. and, but, they accepted me. But the thing they did, I love them and they loved me and everything, but they also did something. They kind of crippled me in a
How
way.
so?
They would do a lot of my if I had questions about things on the computers, and I bet you a lot of older people can identify with this, they don't want to teach you. They don't want to show you where things are. They'd rather do it for you. Just give me the mouse and let me click. And I had that happen a lot. And I mean, they were nice. They thought they were doing me a favor because I had the ideas. I had the pictures. I had the things together that I wanted. But it was how could I so getting that concept, but then getting it on the screen,
Hmm.
getting it to work. And so I didn't my my mind was like in freak out mode a lot of times, and so I'm just like going, yeah, I'm scared. And that is what happens with a lot of people. We get scared and thinking we
Yeah.
can't do it, and it's just like,
Yep.
just do it for me.
Yep.
But the thing is we're not doing anybody a service by doing it for them. It is crippling. 2020,
Right.
also, that's when somebody said to me, "Why are you paying?" It was a shooter that I was working with because I hired everybody out to do the
Uh,
shooting.
I know.
But I was talking, I was on location with my camera guy and he's capturing all the footage. At that time I did not shoot. I still won't do like location shoots because I don't have the eye. So if I really
Ah,
want a professional job, I'm still going to hire that camera guy. But for the most part, we can do most of it with a webcam and a cell phone now. But during that time, back to our story, the cameraman goes, "Well, why aren't you like doing your own editing? You would make more money if you cut us out of the editing and stuff." And there was some little jobs that I was doing, and I was getting a fraction of the cost, and I was paying everybody else to do things.
yeah. Right.
So, you know what Wheezy did? Wheezy got behind the
Camera.
editing board. I had knowledge of somewhat how to use it, and over time I taught myself and I found the special little tools to make my cuts better. So I started there and started editing my own videos there. But talk about slow adapting. I mean, here we're going from 2010 to 9 years, 10 years later, that I'm like going, okay, I'm going to let my guard down and I'm going to step out and I'm going to start doing this stuff myself. And and a lot of the time during that time, I hardly got in front of the camera either because I was the producer. I put the projects together. I was working with small businesses. We were capturing them. But as Facebook Live came on and everything, I'm
Mhm.
going, oh, wow, this is a game changer for businesses. If they can do their own Facebook Lives, they just need a little tweaking. They just need a little help to feel comfortable in front of the camera. But these people really need to be using it, and all they need is their smartphone.
And this was before TikTok and Instagram,
Yep.
so that one and a
Instagram
half,
was starting to come on board, but
right,
mostly, Facebook was still the big player. And the young
right,
kids, they if they want to catch on, they're going to do it. But
yep.
I was looking at business people going, you need to make your videos and be, have fun with it. And that is really the foundation that has been building for the last 6, 7 years of Wheezy Media.
Hmm.
Um, I know the podcast is called Life Mosaic, but the whole umbrella of all of this fun and circus is Wheezy Media Productions.
It's still very true that in growing up in an era where none of this technology was available or we weren't shown how to use it as we got older, it's still in the back of our minds, that no, you're too old to do this. You can't, or you
Mm-hmm.
don't want to do this, as you pointed out. So, how do you overcome those objections that are in your own brain?
Yeah. So there's actually quite a few people who actually want to do it. And so my slower adapters. So what do I mean by slower adapter? Here we are, we're talking about time periods and when it started, and now here it's 15 years later, and we're starting to come on board now. YouTube was still in its infancy in like 2010. It started in 2007, but it was in its complete infancy. But I was starting to talk to people in 2011, 2012, after I got done with school and had some of my fantasy projects out of my way or whatever, of working on a short film and different things like that, and decided this isn't for me, and
Yeah.
came out and started making my own way. But anyway, it was that slower adapter. And so my vision, just animal, is a turtle. So you're there, you're a little turtle, and a turtle can poke its head into its shell and totally close off and hide, or the turtle can stick its head out. But my slow adapter is the turtle with its head. Maybe the nose is just peeking out of the shell, but it sees what's going on out there. It's not closed off and it's going, I really want to be out there. So really, it's they're also a fear adapter. It's mostly fear that holds people back. They're fearful of my voice. I hate the sound of my voice. Well, everybody hates the
Oh,
sound of their voice.
right,
I don't want to see myself on camera. Everybody hates to see themselves on camera.
right.
Those are just normal things. Well, how am I going to keep it together? How am I going to cohesively talk what I need to talk about without starting to go off into a ramble? Well, that's the things that I started working with people with, is not just with the camera, but behind the camera, the whole process. And that comes up with my 3P approach of production: the planning, the prepping, and the practice. And I
Yep,
don't care what project you have to have those three components.
yep,
So if
yep.
it's on camera or off camera, I do like to work with the older generation. I'm becoming the older generation.
Yep.
I'm right there between the boomer and the Gen X. I was born in 64, so I was the last year of the boomers, and they say X started, but I have a lot of the mentality of an Xer, of
Hmm.
going, well, that's how you used to do it, but we're going to do it different. And so I'm taking the boomers and going, guess what? Maybe you didn't do these things, but you know what? Your wisdom is still needed out there. And the best way to share it these days and really get it out there is through, at least through your voice or video,
Right.
but getting it out there into broadcast land of YouTube or some sort of modality.
And the other thing that stops us a lot is we grew up with beautiful film and perfect television, and everything had to be
Everything,
just, and that's not true anymore. You don't want to shoot for perfection, right?
no, no. Yes, you want to have maybe some clear footage. You want to
Yeah.
have decent audio that people can understand what you're saying. But other than that, that's, there are some good things that came out of COVID. And one thing that came out of COVID was the perfection because before COVID, people, and people still are very, that are in the industry, are still very particular about the audio. And they
Yes.
get still get a lot of the more expensive mics. But you can get a good mic, and but there's things in post. Post means when you go to editing, but when you go in there you can adjust it some, and people are so used to listening to everything off of their phone anyway. They're not looking for, let's say, Bose or the super clean clear, because this is everyday people out there
Yes.
producing most of this content. And
Right.
we're not Hollywood. We don't have a team. Look at the credits of any production that goes on TV. It's a huge team. It's at least over 20 people on any given team
Easy.
of a production. So,
Okay.
but people kind of get caught up with that, and they think that they have to have somebody else behind another screen or something like that. And yes, there is things that it does take a bit of work. I'm not going to lie about that.
No.
But if you really want it, you can make it as simple as you can to make you comfortable, but it's on the comfort level that you want to provide.
Right.
Um, but for the most part, I'm here. I use a webcam. I have a good mic. I have some, I have my lights set up. I come into my studio, I flip on the lights. I move my webcam tripod over in front of my screen. My mic is always here. I throw on my headphones and I go to work within seconds, really.
It is so much easier than it used to be. So, I mean, you are here to encourage everyone, whether you have some background in this or some experience in this, I would say, or whether you haven't. And you are, because I know, an incredibly patient teacher. I know all about audio, but I needed to learn video because that's what my big presence is on LinkedIn, and you need video on LinkedIn. Not every day, but you do. So who do I come to? I come to Wheezy. And I'm someone who's going, I do know audio so that I could link the two and I can see where the two go together. And so I stopped being afraid of it after the first, I don't know, half an hour or so. But it was thanks to your very patient tutorials that allowed me to, oh, look, I can edit a Zoom interview, or I can chop off the beginning and end of a little thing I want to put on LinkedIn. So don't let anything stop you from moving into an arena that now everybody can be in.
Yeah. And, and but if you need some help, you know, find another friend that may want to play around. Or, I mean, start off with me.
Mhm.
I mean, that's part of my services is coaching and talking you through how to do this. Nobody learns anything through osmosis.
No, it's hard.
You can't just pick it up, and you don't know what you don't
No.
know until you're exposed to
Right.
it.
Agreed.
So this last year I really have picked up quite a few jobs with working with more seasoned people who felt that, hey, I may be retired, but I have something to share. I still have things to give. I
Yes.
still, you know, and so I help them with their projects. Sometimes, yes, I may do a little bit more for them than them doing it all themselves. That's the thing about how I work. It's like it's not a it's not an in the box program.
No.
It's modeled for what is it going to take to get this job done. And
And it's
sometimes
very personal too. It's what you need. And if you don't need it, you're not going to try to show me how to do it. I don't need fancy editing, and some of your shows or your people don't need fancy bells and whistles.
no, because you just need to tell the story. And we don't have to cater to all of the things that cause different actions and stuff like that because that's not the audience you're going after
Oh,
most of the time.
yep.
Now, with Family Legacy, we might put some overlays and stuff, but we'll come and we'll talk about Family Legacy and what that is more about. I have my Family Legacy program, I have my About You program,
Hmm.
and it's just really about you sharing your heart, sharing your passion, your interests, and your who, what, where, and why. The
And can you think
components
of
of a
a
story.
time it's ever been more necessary? Families used to sit around together. They used to go on vacations together. They used to create memories together. Those opportunities are fewer and far between for lots of reasons.
Mm.
Committing some of this to video is not a substitution, but it can show future generations something about you and your stories. Again, comes back to the story.
This big question. The younger people, they don't care. And I said, they don't now. I go, but every time I do a workshop, it's somebody who is in their 40s. It's somebody in their 40s who pipe up and go, if I could just have a video
Yeah.
of my grandma or of my grandpa and them telling some of their stories or sharing that special recipe
Yeah.
just because I can make it, but every time I do, I hear their voice. But if I could just see them again, if I could just embrace that moment again or hear that story from their voice, from their perspective, to hear their laugh, to hear their tears.
Yeah. We're not
Like,
shooting for Academy Awards here. We're
oh,
shooting for those indescribable connections among people and family.
yeah, yeah. And, nobody can tell your story like you can. There's a lot of different programs out there, where like the book, write your book or whatever programs and stuff like that.
Oh, right, right, right. Yes.
Uh,
Story, whatever that is called. Yeah.
Story brand. But anyways, there's those things, and there's like little journals that you can do and write it out. But the thing that's different about you can do that and people can read it. But the thing is when it's on video, you see the person,
Mm.
you hear the person, you hear the inflection, the being able to speak and be able to just tell the story is so much easier because we know there's a difference between just talking what you know and then trying to write it down and getting it so that people it's a cohesive story, nothing is left out. It's just easier to do it on video.
Was there a particular moment or something from your own life that gave you this idea?
It was a business coffee. I was meeting with this lady, and she was starting to plant the seeds, and I was wanting to work with seniors to teach them technology,
Hmm.
like simple technology so that their kids or grandkids didn't have to keep coming and showing them how to do things on their phone or their computer,
Right.
how to use the Word docs, how to copy and paste. But this person was she encouraged me to start recording, but what really hit home with me was she was sharing she's a realtor and she had been working with this one gentleman and he had been part of D-Day as an aerial photographer.
Whoa.
They flew in the plane that he was in, they flew over Normandy before the battles,
Whoa.
and then they flew over Normandy after the battles. And in his house, he had no family. In his house was a box full of these photos in a photo album tucked away in his living room that weren't going anywhere. They weren't. And I'm just like, how many people have these stories tucked within them that they don't share because everybody, when you get together, there's just not the family moments really being told and shared because most of the time nobody's talking
That's true. Yeah, they're eating, they're drinking, they're watching a football game.
on
It's
their
true.
phones,
And on their phone.
watch and watching other videos. So, how do you
Hmm.
get their attention? Go on video.
The full circle moment. There you go. That exactly.
Because they're going to watch. I just feel that they would much rather watch it than to read about
Yes.
it.
And to read about it.
And with the
Yeah.
Living Legacy program, I don't do the whole life history. We pick out some highlighted stories and we start off with three. And then if you can continue to work with me to record more, or you, by this time, you and your family should kind of have a good idea of how to go about it and go. And I'm there to help support you, but really they should be able to go on. But I mean, could you imagine? This is one scenario I would just love to see this is that a family member would learn how to do this and then go to family reunions because they do still happen.
I was reading something about that where they used to be so much more regular than they are now. Say, post, obviously, the pandemic cut off
Mm-hmm.
most family reunions, and then they haven't picked up in the same way.
But
And
there's,
families suffer because of that.
yeah, I'm horrible about going to my own. And a lot of people, there's still enough alive that could still tell the family history on that side. But here I am, I don't go. But this is my idea for family reunions is somebody learns how to do that and then like set up like a talking corner and interview some of the elders of the
Yep.
family where they feel comfortable they're with somebody. But if they don't want to do it, then they can come to me. And it's a simple process. It's as simple as you and me sitting here talking. I do it through
Just a
Zoom.
conversation.
People ask me why I do it through Zoom. The person is in their house. I'm not invading their private space, for one thing.
Interesting.
They don't have to wait for the setup and all of that. If I come in with cameras and lights and everything, they don't have to worry about the
Right.
lights
Right.
because when talking on the video screen, they kind of forget where they're at. And
Yeah.
it's like we're just having a conversation.
Right.
And I just ask the leading questions to help keep them on track with their story. That's that. But my passion really is I know I'm in video and now I've been, delved into more audio with the podcasting and stuff like that. But it doesn't matter what you want to do. I'm here today to just encourage people. If there's something that you're passionate about, don't be fearful about what your family's going to say, what your family's going to do,
Oh, yeah.
because the hard truth is your family loves you, but that's not their interest, but that's your interest. I got to take a drink of water. That's your interest, and you've put a lot of life into helping family along. You got to
Hmm.
take some time for yourself along the way, and
That's enough.
pursue. You have to pursue something that brings you joy,
Yep.
or it brings you, like I said, talking on video. It's very scary, but overcoming those fear factors, because there's nothing more than when you face something that you are fearful of and you start taking tiny little steps to build to where you want to get. There's nothing more satisfying of going, I did it this summer. I took a workcation. I didn't take a vacation, but I took a workcation.
Right.
I knew that my website needed work. So I tore it down and I build it back up to now I have a brand new website. It's still all in the same place, but I just took steps. I watched videos. I just learned some new things in order to
Hmm.
put a good, cohesive website together, and taking all of the things that I have really just in the last year, because Living Legacy is only about 18 months old.
Oh, gee, I thought it was older than that. That shows you what
No,
the
no. I started in January of 2024.
There
I
you
started
go.
talking about it some in 2023, but in 2024 is when I really launched it. And then, quickly right behind that, then I went into the podcasting,
Hmm.
because how else can you highlight stories better than getting people to tell their stories on podcast?
That's right.
And they're both
And
on video and audio.
and people love to eavesdrop. That was the whole big thing about radio back in the 20s and to this day to podcasting where the gloves can come off and you don't have FCC regulations about bad words and how many
Oh,
commercials you
yeah. I
have and all that
mean,
kind of thing. So people love a good story to eavesdrop on.
yeah.
Yeah,
Because because some of the most popular things on YouTube are the stories, particularly historic stories. And we need to tell our history because we're the ones who know the details. So, but anyway, it's just my passion to I just love coming alongside people. And if they want to try something, to be their encourager, their cheerleader, of going, we can at least try. If it's not going to work, I'll tell you it's not going to work. But
right.
because I probably have gone down that road, I've gone down that little bunny hole.
Right. Yep. Yep.
But there's never anything, if it's not going to be hugely time consuming and take us railroad us,
Right.
why not try it? Instead of I can't, it's like, why not? Let's give it a try. So that's my mantra, and that's what I wanted to come and share for this season for Life Mosaic is
Yeah.
let's give it a try. If that's video or audio, or just if you just want help getting your story in some way out there,
Even if you
Weezy.
need it a little bit refined or put in a particular order, some people think, okay, well, what part of my story am I going to tell? You can do that too. You can be that sounding board for
Mm-hmm.
what a family might need, or with new ears, you can
Yeah, I
probably
mean, it's
pull
super
out.
simple. It's
Yeah,
super simple. I am here a lot of times, a lot of my work is consulting work.
there you go.
I tell people how to do it. You just book time with me and we go from there. But, to book time with me, it's super simple. All you do is go to wheezyinc.com and hit the book now or go to the contact page, email me or whatever, but I have calendar links. You can get on my calendar very easily.
Lord knows I have once or twice.
And you
It's
are one
always,
of my favorites.
well, we're good backups for each other. We're good. Oh, I
Mhm.
have a question, or what do you think about this? Or My strength is writing, yours is video. So we kind of work together. We do tend to work very well together because we can fill in the other's gaps. And the
Yeah,
time goes so quickly when we're together talking about this or doing whatever else we're doing at the gym or, we do hang out and
we
it's,
do. We have
yeah,
grand
so
time together.
we do.
We back each other up.
Oh, that's exactly right. And that's what you can do for anybody who wants to memorialize their stories for
Mm-hmm.
themselves or for the future.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like I said, if you're interested, just go to my website. If you're not catching the website right now, it's in the description. It's always in the show notes at lifemosaic.me. You can follow me on social media on Facebook, Instagram, and X at LLW Wheezy. That's WEEZY. And you will find me out there on the social platforms. And believe me, I have been a quiet person most of my life. And I've learned to get out there and to put myself forward. And so if I can do it, you can do it too.